Hello, and welcome back to the Thinking Bigger Than Money podcast. I'm your host, Jim Morocco, and today I wanted to talk to you about becoming more aware and present with your spending. Recently, I challenged myself to do an exercise that I often give to my clients who are seeking to become more aware about their everyday spending. The exercise is to write down every dollar you spend every single day for a full month. It could be longer, it could be shorter, but it's just designed to build awareness for what you notice about your spending habits. When I tried to do this for myself this past month, I wasn't necessarily testing my discipline around seeing if I could stick within a budget per se, although that was part of it. My real intention was about experimenting with what I could learn about my spending habits. And the one thing that I found most significant about the observations was how unaware I often am when spending money. It made me think about the differences between wants and needs and how I handle delayed gratification of not buying something immediately versus waiting. So to back up, at first I was simply tracking, right? I was simply seeing how much money I was spending and challenging myself to stay within the confines that I had set. It was a game for me, right? And could I stay and stick within the budget I had? And it was a little fun. I'm a financial planner, so doing this kind of work is interesting to me. But I quickly realized that as I was tracking my spending, I was really more tracking my attention or my lack of attention and where it was going. Each time I wrote down a purchase, whether it was getting a coffee at the coffee shop down the street or filling up my Amazon cart for a bunch of household supplies that we need, or going out to dinner with my husband or treating myself to lunch, I learned something about what was behind each of those choices and each of those spends that I made. And sometimes I find it's convenience. Sometimes I find I bought something out of necessity. Sometimes I bought something because I was looking for a little bit of a treat or a relief, or I found a little bit of a joy in something. But then I reminded myself of something that my business coach, Elizabeth Chiton, often reminds me of when we talk about spending. And that is that spending usually stands in for some sort of emotional experience we want to have. We're not buying the thing, but we're buying the feeling that comes with it. I learned about this in a very big way, and that's what I want to talk to you a little bit more about. Before we get there, I want to talk to some of the concrete items that I learned too, because I think these are also really helpful for folks. One observation was seemingly small purchases, $50 here or $75 there, add up over the course of a month. They're more significant than we give them credit for, and they seem small in the moment, but actually over time, they kind of add up. Second is that unexpected expenses are always going to show up, whether it's the pet having something at the doctor or some unexpected expense in the apartment or whatever it might be. They're going to happen. And third, we almost always have to make trade-offs between our wants and our needs. There's often not enough to meet all our needs and all of our wants at the same time. And that gets to the heart of what financial planning is all about, which is about helping us to decipher and understand the differences between the two. These may sound like very basic or elemental lessons, but even for me, going through this experience and this exercise really helped me to embody them and understand them a little bit more deeply. Now back to the larger insight that I wanted most of us to operate from here, and that is to learn about how, when we're mindless with our spending, and why we're mindless, right? And that what's going on in those moments. We're often reacting, but when we write down the things that we're spending money on, it interrupts that mindlessness. One of my guilty pleasures is purchasing plants. I love to spend money going out, buying a new plant, a different type of plant, finding the pot, getting the soil to go in a certain space in the house. I'm always seemingly finding a place to put another plant. And for me, it's not about necessarily accumulating more plants, right? But it's more about creating a space that feels beautiful and alive. And for me, having plants in my home is what does that. So I want to spend money on this because for me, it's about creating this environment that's really warming to me, right? It brings me a lot of joy. In a similar vein, right? If I go to the clothing store and I want to buy a new sweater, It's usually not about the fact that I want more clothes. It's about having a feeling of feeling fresh or more in fashion or whatever it might be that I'm not really getting in the moment from what I have in my closet, let's say. So I share these experiences because I want to highlight the real question we're asking ourselves in our spending, which is, what is the experience I'm trying to create here? And is that important to me? Is that aligned with my values and what matters to me? So I think the exercise kind of just helps you be more connected with your spending. I can't tell you how many times I hear from clients that they have a lot of guilt or a lot of shame around what they're spending money on. And to me, that sometimes happens because there's a lack of really thinking about where the spending is going or why it's important to you. So when we take a moment to really think and feel about what the spending is connected to and our values, I think a lot of that guilt and shame can kind of fall away. So the next time maybe you're feeling a little impulse to spend money, think twice about it. I might still spend the money, I might still go out for the lunch, but I know that it's because of convenience and I know why I'm doing it rather than just feel mindless about it. I think this exercise can also bring up a lot about our money history too. The stories we tell ourselves about how money should be used. I noticed that when I had money to buy something for myself that maybe brought me a little bit of joy, my mind immediately went to don't indulge, don't buy the thing, it's unnecessary. And sometimes folks have the opposite story, which is to spend money while you have it. I'm not advocating for either approach. I'm just saying, noticing that both of those are really kind of rooted in the same fears of not having enough, fear of missing out, fear of what will happen if we hold on to our money too tightly, fear if we hold on to our money too loosely, and that shapes how we live. And it shows up in these seemingly small spending choices. So no matter what the dollar amount we're talking about is, whether it's a $5 cup of coffee or, a vacation, we need to learn how to use money for what's really important to us and do so mindfully to the best extent we can. Bringing awareness to how we spend, why we spend, and connecting those to our larger vision and values will just help everyone feel more grounded in their spending. And hopefully that guilt and shame around spending falls away. We just feel better about money in general. And so I want to leave you with this. If you want to challenge yourself to do this exercise, maybe it's just for a day, maybe it's for a week, maybe it's for a full month, write down every purchase. Don't judge it, just notice it. And notice when you're on autopilot. Notice when you're spending money unintentionally. Notice when you are intentional. Try to understand, like, what is this about for me? And then reflect on that. Reflect on what you're learning from your spending. And I hope it's something that's really insightful for you. I'd love to hear what your takeaways are about it too. So you could drop a comment here in the comment section or send me an email at jim@thinkingbigfinancial.com. I'd love to learn more, and I'm always curious about what everyone is learning about their spending and about how they think about money. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.